Hi, this is Greg with Seabird Scientific. In this video, I'm going to walk you through important differences between the SeaFET V1 and the SeaFET V2. We'll start by comparing the software that you use to connect to the SeaFET V1 and the SeaFET V2. On the left, we have SeaFET.com, the software that you use to connect to the SeaFET V1, change settings, transfer data. And on the right side, we have UCI, the software that you use to connect to the SeaFET V2 and also the HydroCat EP and the Suna V2. As you can see, the user interface is pretty similar between the two. The left side has buttons to connect to the instrument, change settings, transfer data, and start logging. The right side has a real-time data display, and the bottom has various windows for displaying real-time output. Let's start by looking at SeaFET.com. By clicking on the SeaFET settings button, we're able to change the sampling parameters of the SeaFET V1. You can change the sampling mode from poled to periodic or continuous sampling. You can change the sample interval for periodic sampling. You can also change the number of samples averaged into a single data point and the number of frames output per sample interval. That is the number of frames in burst. One thing to note is that changing the number of frames per burst and the number of samples per average will change your sample duration. Therefore, your sample interval cannot be faster than the total amount of time it takes for the SeaFET to take a sample. After uploading those settings, when I click Start in SeaFET.com, samples start to arrive in the real-time display. Speeding up the video allows you to see the number of frames per burst in action, where we have a cluster of 10 samples per sample interval. Each one of those 10 samples consists of an average based on the number of samples in average that we set in the SeaFET settings. Now let's take a look at connecting to the SeaFET V2 in UCI. Like SeaFET.com, UCI has a SeaFET settings button, which allows you to change the configuration of the SeaFET V2. One thing to note is that the SeaFET V2 no longer uses sample averaging or burst sampling. It simply takes a single sample once per interval. And similar to SeaFET.com, UCI allows you to change miscellaneous settings on the SeaFET V2. Now when we click Start in UCI, the SeaFET will start sampling. I'm speeding up this video for the sake of time, but as you can see, the SeaFET is outputting a single sample per interval. Unlike the SeaFET V1, the SeaFET V2 does not take a burst of samples and does not do any sample averaging. It simply outputs one good sample per interval. Now let's compare that to the SeaFET V1. As you can see, the SeaFET V1 shows burst sampling where you have a cluster of 10 samples per interval. However, the SeaFET V2, as we just saw, output only a single sample per interval. Both the SeaFET V1 and the SeaFET V2 can be operated via a terminal. In this example, I'm using TerraTerm. While both can be operated through a terminal, they have a significantly different command set and command structure that is not compatible with the other. The V1 uses a structure that is more similar to a traditional command line, where 2 dashes precede each parameter, and the SeaFET V2 uses a structure that is more similar to a Seabird moored CTD like the SBE37. Here I'm setting the number of samples to average to 10 and checking that the change I made is indeed now 10. The SeaFET V2 uses commands that will be more familiar to users of our standard CTDs, such as the SBE37. Here I'm using the DS command, which is commonly used with other moored and profiling CTDs from Seabird Scientific. When you send the DS command, the instrument outputs a variety of information useful for identifying the current status and configuration of your instrument. Other commands such as getCD, getHD, and getCC, also compatible with other Seabird CTDs, are compatible with the SeaFET V2. The SeaFET v2 also has a useful help command, which will display all of the commands that can be currently sent to the SeaFET v2. Furthermore, the v2 is also compatible with standard pulled sampling commands, such as TS. Sending pulled sampling commands will tell the SeaFET to take and output a single sample. However, to use pulled sampling with SeaFET v1, you must first set the instrument to pulled sampling mode, exit the menu, and then send the S character to the SeaFET in order to command it to take a pulled sample. When in this mode, the SeaFET v1 will not take a sample at a periodic interval. The takeaway point here is that the SeaFET v1 and the SeaFET v2 have two very different communication structures that are not compatible with one another. It's important to note that the output format of the v1 and the v2 is completely different. This goes for the data output in real time, either in pulled sampling or periodic sampling mode, as well as the data logged to the SeaFET memory. In this example, the left side shows output from the SeaFET v1, while the right side shows output from the SeaFET v2. Let's take some samples and compare them side by side. As you can see, the output format is very different. Keep this in mind if you're replacing a SeaFET v1 with a SeaFET v2 on a system that expects a specific output format, such as a data logger. Furthermore, if you have a system for data processing that expects the SeaFET v1 output, that will need to be reconfigured to process data from the SeaFET v2. Thanks for watching. You can find more information on the SeaFET v1, v2, and all of our other products on seabird.com.